think about the number of variables. With the first chi-square, it's like it's a one-way table. There's only.
Good job, Dave.
Okay, so one variable, actually I should say it was like one category. And you were looking at the values of those categories, so one-way tables. So that was the first one. In in 11.2, not that one anymore, we're going to do another chi-square. And they call this one chi-square test of association, test of independence, test of homogeneity. All kind of pretty much the same thing. Easiest way to think about it is that this is going to be a test for two-way tables. So it's not just one category you're testing, but one category versus another category. So this would have two-way tables. Oh, here we go. Slideshow, current slide. So, just real quick, before we used to describe normal distribution as n, what was it? Lost it. Mu, comma. So that's when there was normal distribution that was centered at me with standard deviation sigma. When we talked about the binomial distribution, we would have b, and we would just have n comma p. If we're working with a chi-distribution, then you can just do this right here. That's all you really need to describe the entire distribution, is chi-square, and then the degrees of freedom that you're looking at. So, easiest way to do it, shorthand for that. Chi-square and degrees of freedom. Questions on how to describe distribution in chi-square? Shepherd Merv? You're going to start sitting there?
Yeah, it's pretty nice. You're going to have to fight Kelsey over it.
Yeah. Kelsey's always sitting there. Now I know it's that group. Because all seniors are gone and y'all still talking. Now.
Is it the toy?
Special.
They're currently graduating.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a senior meeting. I'm sure it's about graduation because it's coming up so close. Yeah. I already said yes. So yeah.
You and Raza did so good last year.
Huh?
You and Raza did so good last year.
That's if I don't. Oh, you know what? Actually, I would because I already signed a contract for next year, so I'll be here next year.
Right.
Let's say that.
And then the year after that.
Or like the sounding names. You guys like roll your R's and you make it sound like it. It's funny.
No, I'm not saying Mexican
They
sound.
don't even say their name like that.
That would be
Garcia.
Escala buena vendida. That's a good sell. Muy buena vendida. I'm gonna have to practice that. Skylar Page. Good sale. That's bad.
It just didn't flow.
I have to. I don't know. I don't
Are you gonna?
know.
Can you call me Malfoy? Can you say my name?
Crinkleberry. Did you guys? Oh, I can't say that right now. But I'll tell you guys. All right, so.
Because of the recording.
Well, yeah. It's. Actually, I wish he was here because then I was telling him. But let's get back to this chi-square. So let's take a look at the way this next chi-square test for homogeneity is going to work. So here's an example. Chronic users of cocaine need the drug to feel pleasure. Perhaps giving them a medication that fights depression will help them stay off the coca.
The coca.
Off cocaine, sorry.
Off the coca.
A 3-year study compared an antidepressant called desipramine with another testing method, which is called lithium, and that's actually the standard method for the treatment of the coca addiction. And third, a placebo. So they had 3 treatments. One was the antidepressant, which is called desipramine, and then they had lithium, and then they had placebo. There were 72 subjects that were actually chronic users who wanted to break their addiction. So after the test was given to them, this is what they observed.
A placebo would be like sugar pill.
It doesn't have to be sugar pill. And actually, I think they even stopped doing sugar pill because even sugar can have some effect.
But like something that wouldn't have.
Especially for diabetics. Hey, we're testing the diabetes. We're gonna give you a sugar pill. Straight up Splenda. That's horrible.
Coca.
72 coke addicts, and they're going to. Some are going to get placebo.
Coca addicts. That's so sad.
So, here's what happened. From the disepramine, we had 14 that had no relapse, 10 that did have relapse. So there was 24 total. There was 24 that got the lithium, 24 that got placebo. Wait a minute, why would they have 24, 24, 24?
It's the same amount of people.
Yeah, you want your groups to be. So
So you can compare.
I asked this question one time, and actually someone asked me the question. It's like, it's kind of sketchy that they all have 24, 24, 24.
How is that sketchy?
I don't know. But that's why I just remembered and I said it.
Maybe they made it sketchy because it's just a random 24. Like, why not like 25?
Because they had 72 volunteers, so they split it in 3 groups,
Yeah,
which makes
we
sense.
It's actually a little
more,
bit
better
confusing.
Go on, go on.
Suspicious.
Okay, so it was a legit statement to make then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad you
Remember,
brought
if we have those people, we're going to put them into equal sized groups, right? That's why it's 24, 24, 24. So. Now this was a little sketchy, right? Like a third of them had were no relapse and 2/3 were relapse, but whatever. Those were the numbers. This was what was observed. Okay? Now, you can already see that you're going to be doing a chi-square, so you're already hopefully thinking observed minus expected, right? Squared divided by expected, which is the formula for that. So the next question is, where's my expected numbers? Okay, how do I get my expected numbers? And the expected numbers are actually going to come from your results. Okay, so these are going to stay the way they are, just like this. And the way you get your expected counts is going to be a formula. Okay, and the formula is simply this column total multiplied by the row total divided by the grand total. Okay? So in this case, we would have 24 times 24 divided by 72. Here we would have same deal, right? So I'm going to just go ditto, ditto, ditto. Over in this column, we would have 24 times 48 divided by 72. And of course, those would be the same as well. And that's how we get the expected counts. Questions there? And of course, you can also have your calculators do that what is it called? The Excel sheet? What is it called? List, thank you. The list feature. Here's your formula, so go ahead and write those down, because you're going to need to know this. So to get your expected counts, you want row totals multiplied by column totals divided by the table total. You should already know the chi-square test of goodness. It's the same test, it's just a chi-square test. It depends on how you use it, that matters. Now, this one's interesting here. Our degrees of freedom. Remember how when we talked about degrees of freedom, we always went with how many variables minus 1? Last time we talked about how many categories, which is technically a variable. How many categories minus 1? This is a two-way table, which means we're testing 2 categories, or 2 variables, if you will. So the degrees of freedom is going to be rows minus 1 multiplied by columns minus 1. So you always remove 1 degree of freedom from, or there's always a degree of freedom for each variable. And you'll notice that just about all statistics. So degrees of freedom in this case, we had, how many rows? There was 3 rows, because there was 3 treatments. So 3 minus 1 would give me 2. And there was 2 columns, the relapse and the non-relapse. So we would have 2 degrees of freedom for that problem. I mean, that's not a big change. Nice book. Go Faxton. yeah, so it would be equivalent. And then my senior year, my dummy head. What a dummy. I took pre-calculus and calculus together. I know.
I lose things like this all the time.
If necking was a thing back then, I would have necked myself every day.
Was it hard for you to time?
It's hard because you have 2 math classes, so I neglected one and did one on the other one. I neglected pre-calculus and I just did calculus. Because whatever you had to do for calc, you would have needed it anyway pre-calc. Makes sense? So I just ignored pretty much pre-calc. Which kind of got me mad because I had an A in calculus and I had a C in pre-calculus. He said, you can't have that. And he averages both of them to a B. I'm like, why? Doesn't it look better to have an A in calculus than pre-calculus? Especially on the same, calendar year.
You just want to see.
I didn't care about C's. I wanted the A in calculus. Right?
I'm just trying to get there.
I'm like, dude, did you notice they were at the same time? I was not doing this class. I was doing it for fun. So here's what the test would look like. Here's your 2 tables. So here's our expected counts. Here are our observed counts. And just like always, we go 14 minus 8 squared divided by 8 plus blah, 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 blah. And we would end up with our chi-square of 10.5, degrees of freedom 2. We go to our chart and we see whether that distribution is independent or not. Okay. Now, just that simple. So if nothing changes here, has it? Anybody need to write down anything from this slide? All right, cool, because that's just the math. So what's new here? Your H naught would be the categories are independent. Alternative, the categories are not independent. Kai, it's Kai.
It's child.
Oh,
Which you never had one.
I have. They're delicious.
It's like green, huh?
It's an Indian blend of herbs and spices, and then they put milk in it.
Oh wait, I have that. I like chai tea. I never just tried it off.
Well, chai tea is good too. It's a little spicier. With the latte, it kind of calms it down.
I think it's like minty more than spicy. Like it's like
It's not supposed to be minty.
like when I try like cold mint or cold chai tea, it tastes minty.
Are you crazy, girl?
Sorry.
Something wrong with your taste buds. These habaneros taste like chocolate. But why is my mouth so watery? I think that must be really funny. Again, same rules as all. No, just the same rules as before. No more of the expected counts. No more than 20% of the expected counts can be less than 5, and none of the counts are less than 1. So it's the same rules as before. So don't have to get all crazy about that. And yes, you can do the calculator, but I'm not going to show you how because I want you to do it by hand. So that's it. Simple now. Yay! No, it's just a different purpose.